Hello everyone. We are going to understand PayPal integration overview, which is the main concept which we are dealing with in our project. Basically, we are trying to create a project which is using the payment gateway provided by PayPal to build something that we can use to make our payments. So from the front end app, we'll initiate a request in the backend using third party providers like PayPal. So PSP used for PayPal system provider, PayPal service provider, you can say, which is in the backend processing our request and capturing our payment, then initiate us that whether the client approved the payment or not. So this is our project which we are going to make. So basically we have a front end having a button called checkout. Once the user click on checkout, it will be redirected to a URL page where they add whatever items they have in the cart. They make the payment via various services like UPI, credit card, debit card, whatever services they have. Once they approve the payment, PSP means PayPal service provider can capture their information and then process their request, which is deducting money from their account. Once the payment is approved successfully, they will give us a back URL initiating that the payment is successful. This is what we are trying to build. So now we are trying to understand the structure of our application, which looks like, let's say we are on the page. This is, you can check out the URL. On this URL you can get how this process will going to happen. Once the merchant or basically the client clicks on checkout, it initiated by the PayPal button that is displayed on the client side. Once they click on PayPal button like start checkout, basically an API call is sent to the PayPal backend system, which is create order API. Once we have hit it, we basically see this all things in a practical. Once we hit the create order API call, all the information from that particular backend in the form of API or in the form of URL using post REST standard initiated, having the informations like card values, invoice ID, and whatever information they have integrated in their JSON file comes. Once it given to the user, now user get a URL having the information of their cart. This they click on or they follow the URL and went to that page. They simply click and initiate the payment. Once the user initiated the payment, on approval, there is one more API call, which is basically capture order API call. Once the capture order API call is initiated, the payment is finally deducted from the user's account. Once the payment is finally deducted, it is redirected back wherever from the user is redirected to the client page having the information that payment is successfully done. Okay, this is a somehow we can call a kind of flowchart we have given by the PayPal's developers so that we can understand the flow what we are going to create. Okay, fine. So let's try to understand a basic architecture so that you'll have in your mind to get it how the payment and the flow is going in this application. Okay, so you can imagine, let's say this is basically our client app. So this is our client app, and just imagine there is a checkout button. Okay, once the user hit this checkout button, we are going to create basically a microservice architecture. Okay, we are going to create a module. We can expect it like that. We are going to create a module. In this module, we have three microservices. Okay, we are going to create three microservices. First microservice is simply for validation. We are going to create it one by one using Java and Spring Boot. So let's say this is our validation service, one microservice, one microservice to initiate or create the payment request. Okay, and there is one more microservice which is used to interact with our payment service providers. Let's say we have PayPal or whatever payment service provider we are using. So once the checkout button is clicked, it is verified using this. If it is finally successfully verified, validated using whatever infrastructure they have given in the front end, after that it will talk to the another microservice to initiate the payment. Once the payment is initiated, it will talk to these microservice. This microservice is basically used to connect third party services like whatever PSP we are using. So let's say in our case we are using PayPal service provider. So it will connect to the backend of the PayPal service provider, which will in return interact with our application to provide the information, whatever information we will have. Okay, so this is the normal architecture. Okay, so you can now imagine, let's say we click on checkout. So if I can write it, user so once user click on checkout, so following steps have been carried out. Let's say first step, a payment request URL is there using create order API. We are going to study 3 API in this session. Once the payment request is initiated, user has a URL where they can complete the payment. This is the second thing. A third one, user once approved the payment, in the backend of our PSP, whatever payment service provider we are using, capture order API is called. Once this capture order API is called, after that successful payment deduction happens. Once the payment is successfully deducted, after that we are done with a successful message or status. Basically we are using some status to ensure what is going in our system. So we can use various status to show what exactly is going to be happen in our system. So based on whatever status we have, we can find what is going on. Okay, so to process this, let's say we can do this one by one step so that we can understand how we can test and going to build our application. So before building anything, we'll have to first check out all the links that is provided by PSP to ensure how the function of our application is going to behave. So to test any REST API based standards, we use various applications there, but we prefer using Postman. So Postman is basically a tool to test our API, where we can hit the endpoint and can check whatever information is reverted from the server. Okay, so we have Postman. Let's say this is my Postman service. Nothing you need to do, just log in using any of your account and it will simply looks like this. Click on collections, it will look like this. Now what we have to do inside it, we'll see the next. After that, we can move to the URL. Okay, this URL where we first create an account. You can create any account of your choice, like try to create some account which uses your some extra email so that you can access it once you want to use it, because while making our application we are going to work with the same client ID and whatever information is inside this dashboard. Okay, so let's say I'll give you the URL in the PDF link. So just copy paste the URL and you are redirected to this page. Go on API and SDKs, click on REST API and you'll get the endpoints from where you will hit the URL and check what is functioning, what are the request is given by the PSP. Based on that, we can create our application. So there are 2-3 steps we are going to perform. So first step, what we have to do, log in to PayPal account and I'll give you the URL in the PDF. Log into the PayPal account. Now after that, initiate OAuth using client secret and client ID. So what is that? So if we see in the PayPal page, they said before starting any integration with the PayPal, what you have to do, first you will have to make a request using client ID and client secret to authenticate rest of the API calls. It means we are going to use 2 API calls to test our applications process, to test this how the system behave. Based on that, we are going to code our project. So these 2 APIs are create order API and capture order API. So for doing these, we'll first have to hit a URL, hit a API call having client ID and client secret that will give us a unique token. Okay, so this is basically an OAuth token. Just for authorization purpose, PayPal has some configuration into it. So we'll have to hit a URL using our client ID and client secret to get an access token. Okay, so this is somehow looks CURL, nothing. What you have to do, just copy it, go to the Postman, click on import, whatever you have copied, paste it over here and simply click on import into collection. Once you did this, a URL is created. Now on the authorization part, you will have to select client ID and password. So you'll have to pass actual client ID and password to hit this URL. So what to do? Head over to your PayPal page where you are logged in. Go to dashboard and here in the apps and credentials section, you'll get, okay, I'm logged out. Let me log in again. So it might sometimes happen, so you'll have to log in it because they have some session. After that it will be automatically logged out. So once you are logged in, few security checks will be performed and you are redirected to the dashboard. So go to the apps and credentials sections and you have client ID and client secret. Copy this client ID, post it over here. Now go to the password, copy the client secret. Okay, copied, go over here, paste it. Okay, confirm it twice, sometimes it is having some error. So copied, and finally we have pasted it. Now after that you'll have to hit send. Once you hit it send, 200 status code means successfully executed. So you have an access token. This is your access token. Now whatever API calls we are now going to make, we'll have to use these access token so that our request would be authenticated. So authentication is important so that no unwanted request should be made to the server or any feces thing should be detected. So now after creating this, you have validated yourself and you will have that access token. Now, so we are done with the first step. Log into PayPal account, initiate OAuth using client ID. Okay, client secret and client ID. We are done with this step 2. Now what we have to do, we'll have to call create order API. So what is it? Basically when we call create order API, it will give us a URL where all the information of your cart is available, where you can click and head over to the payment. Okay, so we are now going to call create order API via Postman. So let's go to the create order API. So as you can see over, you can go to API request, and now there are various API requests we have. So we are going to call create order API. So API integration. Okay, and now we have this create order. I'll give you the URL so that it will be very comfortable for you to get to those URL in just few clicks. So now we are on the page of create order API. Again, you have that same curl command. So if you want to hit that page, just copy that curl command and use that access token. Okay, basically whatever information is given here, you can study it, you can read it, and you'll find that hitting any request you'll need that access token so that you will be first authenticated from the PSP side and then you are allowed to make that request. So okay, fine, copy it, copied, go to the Postman, click on import, paste that URL, and now import into collection. Okay, so this is our API, which is basically create order API, and now you have to hit this URL to get the payment link. Okay, before that, on the authorization section you will have to select bearer token, and automatically, this is something about Postman, they know that you are going to pass this API access token, so they already copied it here. Okay, so you can, if not, you can copy it from this and now you can paste it inside this column. Okay, now hit send. Now once you hit send, look, invalid token, it means there is something incorrect. So okay, fine. Copy it one more time. So be very precise. Any quotation or any extra symbol will lead to unauthorized access. So copy the token very carefully and now click on paste and just click on send. Okay, so once we use the right token, it is finally authenticated and the ID is created. This is the ID. Status is payer action required. It means you'll have to do the payment. And now we have two URL. First URL is just for testing purpose and whatever purpose. So you can ignore the first URL. They basically give you some information about the card value and all. Now this is the second URL where you can see payer action. Means you'll have to follow this URL and pay whatever amount you have. Follow it. So now you'll have to log in. Okay, logged in. Oh, some incorrect information. So one more thing is important. To log into this account, you'll have to use your Sandbox account. So where you can find your Sandbox account? So in this section, under testing tools, you'll have Sandbox account. This is basically used for testing purpose. So you can use that personal one, not the business one. You can simply click it. Okay, here you can find the information, email and password. Okay, copy the email, paste it, go, copy the password, paste it, hit on login. Okay, few problem again, copy the password, copy it, login. So once you are successfully logged in, you can see your card values and all the information listed here. Okay, so something, this is a test account, so there is a false information listed that amount is $230 and whatever amount is there. You can select your, you can add your debit or credit card, whatever you have, and then you can simply click on complete your purchase. So this is how your checkout page will look like. So how it comes, once you click on create order API, you'll get the checkout page. So you'll have that checkout page. Now just click on complete the purchase. So once you are done with the purchase, you'll get something like successfully, whatever we can try to, whatever URL will try to redirect you, we can do it. Now this is created. This is finally done. Now as you can see here, status is payer action required. Now we have approved the payment. Now we can check. Now we can check whether the payment is done or not. Okay, to check it, go to show order details, do the same thing, copy this curl URL, go to postman, import, simply paste it, import into collection, fine, use authorization. Every time we have to use the authorization, bearer token. Okay, just copy the bearer token. So here it is, copy it, go, paste it inside the token part. Okay, this is not what we have. So always keep in mind you have to pass this access token every time when you made a request. This is for authentication purpose. Basically PSP is going to authorize yourself first and then you'll allowed to hit any test cases. Okay, so we are there, paste this token and hit on send button. Okay, so some problem is there, invalid resource ID. So this is the ID we have about what we are uh, let's say if you are creating any order, so there is a unique resource ID is given to you by the PayPal providers. So you will have to use that unique resource ID so that you can check out the details of that. So how to get it? So right now we have created this page, so we have this ID. We can simply copy this ID and went back and just replace this ID with the ID we have created. Now hit send. Okay, now once you hit send, look, the status is approved. What this means? This means you have approved the payment, but after approving the payment, right now the payment is not deducted. Okay, if you can check the details right over here, the payment is not deducted yet. How can verify it? So there is also a technique where we can check whether our payment is deducted or not. Okay, so how we can check it? So let's do perform some checks. So once we did the process, we will be redirected. So let's go. Uh, I'll try to get that URL so that we can test it. Okay. This is basically the URL we have where we can test that our payment is deducted or not. Fine. So let's go there, hit on this page, and now we can check simply where our payment is deducted or not. So as you can see, there is no deduction. Right now, there is no deduction. Now, our work is to call capture order API, what I have said to you. Once we approved the payment is not deducted yet from the bank account. It simply means the user has approved the payment. Now PSP is going to process the payment. So how the PSP is going to process that payment? They are basically going to call capture order API. So this is capture order API. Simply copy this and import it in the Postman to call the capture order API. Okay, and just import into collection. Now few things you need to change. First one, on the authorization part, select bearer token. Okay, and then simply pass that bearer token just for authenticating yourself. Okay, this is our bearer token. Copy it, and now paste it. One more thing, you will have to change the ID. So make sure to change the ID because this is the unique ID. So every time when you made any request, you will have to use that particular unique ID. Okay, so go over here, copy this, copy this, and change this unique ID according to you. Now once you are done with this, just hit on send. Now the status is completed. Okay, so now you'll get the status that you have finally done with the payment. So how we know? Went to this page and just try to refresh this. Okay. Once you refresh the page, now you can see June 19 and the payment is deducted $230 right here. So as you can see, when we click call the capture order API, then only the payment is going to be deducted. Okay. So this is the overall flow, and using this credentials, whatever credentials is provided by the PayPal team just for testing purpose. Now, using this testing accounts and whatever information we got after hitting these APIs and whatever status we have, based on that, we are going to create our own microservice which will behave same like this and can able to pass this JSON request and using the PSP providers. So all this information that I have provided you in this video, we are going to code this whole project using Java and Spring Boot. Okay, so we'll discuss about how we are going to create it. We are going to initiate from Spring Initializer, and now after this video, we are going this to create this whole project one by one. Okay, so thank you.